not completely prepared. Coming up here. All right. How many of you have ever been in marching band before? 8. Okay. And how many of you consider marching band a sport? Thank you. All right. So a sport, by definition from the English Oxford Living Dictionary, is an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or a team competes against another or others for entertainment. This definition also serves the perfect definition for marching band. Marching band is one of the most time-consuming and physically straining activities available from elementary school up until a professional level way past college. Oftentimes when the words marching band pass through people's minds, the imagery of stereotypes conditioned from countless years of movies where band kids are described as nerds and the bottom of the food chain come up. In reality, it's quite the opposite. As band kids are some of the most athletic and by definition dedicated athletes of the school system, devoting countless hours to our self-proclaimed sport through intense physical training and rest support. Band camp, which is an important part of the eventual results of marching band, is a continuous and strenuous workout for the average band student, with overwhelming amounts of physical training and mental capabilities being tested and practiced to peak condition. You'll be going to these shows for 9 minutes long, and even though it doesn't seem that long when you're on the field, you're from the 5-meter dash all the way towards the middle. Oops, sorry. Not only must marching band members demonstrate detailed and accurate performances while maintaining balance, you have to do the whole thing while carrying and playing instruments at the top of your lungs at the greatest amount of air force you can get so you can be heard in the farthest and the highest stand. You have to do this all while carrying them, and they all range in difficulty and size, and for the most part when you join marching band, you have played those instruments for a good few years of your life. Like, you'll be doing it in your sleep at that point. In TNA's web article, marching band should be considered a sport, some instruments may weigh up to 50 pounds or more, and that's more than the average weight of a football gear, which amounts to around 30 pounds. As well as it states that even ESPN publicizes competitive marching shows every year like any other sport, and I believe it's the Drum Corps, which is a very important marching band competition. While some people may realize the efforts that are lent to the production and performance of the marchers, the majority of people oftentimes disregard the amount of time spent on the special cultivation of shows, brushing off the band's entertainment in between the real sports, such as football, and sometimes pep bands during basketballs. In an article listing by the Odyssey Online, 6 Reasons Why Marching Band is a Sport, time commitment and dedication is emphasized greatly. While band practice typically varies from district to district, a common occurrence is a stunning lack of free time outside of band, as every day after school is occupied by practices. Saturdays are non-existent, and Sundays are basically recovery. The average time spent for practicing a week comes to be around 19 to 24 hours. That's a lot of running and a lot of breath support. Marching band follows the guidelines and regular setup of regular sports, with different seasons mirroring that of football, as well as the amount of practice that goes into it. From personal memory, as well as Omaha's Central High's The Register's article, Is Marching Band a Sport?, further establishes the long hours of practice needed to succeed within the musical program, as well as the importance of preparedness in terms of water, weather, and sunscreen, all things to worry about normal sports. Another article that brings attention to the physical stamina required to participate within marching band is one of High School Illustrated, in which it covers criticism from outside parties claiming those in band are unfit to play actual sports, despite the amount of training required for marching. Though some schools do acknowledge the physical effort given for the music program, few schools actually offer physical education credits for the intense workouts necessary for the completion of the program. Due to the non-acceptance for marching as a proper sport, my own high school, for example, had the same marching schedule as the football team, hours, and you would see us working out so much more. One of the sophomores in my high school marching band he's not on here. He actually was both on the football team as well as band, and he would go to practices interchangeably. And he would always say, if I had to pick the practice that would kick my butt the most, it would be marching band. Because of this, at times, there leaves little room for other extracurricular activities. And should a person desire to join band, they would need to fulfill the PE credits first. According to studies from an article on music education on dosomething.org, students who study musical instruments are more likely to succeed in their studies and work better in teams, among other things. Another study from 1993, which is referenced on musicforall.org, is in which there is a 2-year study involving 1,200 children in 50 schools, showed that students exposed to the musical program were better at learning languages, they learned easier, they enjoyed school, and they had much lower stress levels than those not exposed to music. But because of restrictions withholding credits due to the idealism that band is not a sport, many music programs are in a bind, as students are forced to seek classes with credits that are offered, thus keeping the benefits of band from being utilized. There are, however, arguments against the categorization of marching band within the sports, such as the claims that marching band is easy, as well as the age-old comment, all they do is walk, and it's just playing music. As highlighted in an article by the Los Angeles Times High School Insider, as well as the Silver Streak. This, however, as I've covered before, is refuted by the evidence of the immense effort and dedication given by marching band students. Whereas there are hours of effort focused on the proper posture, step, execution, and performance for each show. However, there are oftentimes arguments against the label of athletes by the musicians themselves. According to an article by Music Ed Magic, as many would rather be against grouping with the essential jocks, claiming them to have mocked and opposed and disregarding the craft, and favor the outlook of professional musicians, I suppose. All in all, it's much debate on the topic of whether or not marching band should be taken seriously, and pulling back and forth between confirmations and denials of its integrity of a sport. However, a few things will always be sure. Music is amazing, marching band is hard, and it requires an insane amount of work, but it's worth every minute.
Okay. That goes later.
I think it died.
It went faster.
I think it died.
Did it die?
I think it died, yeah. It won't, like, the screen won't turn on.
But, well, the light's still on.
The light's on, but it's like I keep trying to turn up the brightness and it's not working.
Okay, just shut it off.
Just give it a second. You did it that last time. If you
Well,
just
all
keep
in all,
pressing.
it went pretty okay. It went faster than I thought it was going to go,
Okay.
which was nice. Yet at the same time, that might not have been a good thing. Because is it 7 to 8 minutes or is it 8 to 9 minutes? Okay.
And you're like right at 7:45.
Okay.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah. But like, it's one of those things that you struggle for around. I've had to struggle with the whole marching band's not a sport for around 7 years. So that was a topic that I've covered many a time.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Teammates, if you could.
For structure, photo pretty well organized. Like your intro, like they asked the question. About the transition presenting from pieces. And also like the terminologies they use.
For delivery, I thought very well delivered, you were very calm, and there just didn't feel rushed or you didn't feel nervous. It felt like you knew everything you were going to say. It came out very well. Super
Okay.
easy to listen to.
Thank you.
For content, I liked how you picked a topic that like you were obviously cared about and stuff, and something that marching band does take like a lot of your time because I don't know, I found it kind of relatable because like I had friends in marching band and they like told me all of this too, like they even bring it to me about this and it's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I agree.